Samsung Electronics unionized workers have voted to approve a tentative wage deal, averting a strike that threatened to damage the broader Korean economy. The union said more than 70% of its members voted in favor of the agreement. North Korea publicly announced that it tested a new range of weapon systems, including ballistic and cruise missiles equipped with advanced precision and AI-guided technologies. This comes after South Korea's military said it detected a missile launch the day before and renewed calls for Pyongyang to engage in efforts to ease military tensions and pursue denuclearization talks. Iran has condemned the latest U.S. strikes as a gross violation of the ceasefire and threatened retaliation. This comes a day after Washington carried out what it described as self-defense strikes targeting Iranian missile launch sites and boats around the Strait of Hormuz. Hello and thanks for joining us on Arirang News. Samsung Electronics' tentative 2026 wage agreement has been approved by union members after 6 days of voting. The joint union negotiation team announced on Wednesday morning that the deal passed with 73.7% approval, having secured over 46,000 votes in favor. Under union rules, the agreement required participation from at least half of the eligible voters and a majority approval to pass. The vote easily cleared those thresholds, recording a turnout of 95.5%. Over 62,000 out of roughly 65,000 eligible members from the company's two largest unions cast their ballots beginning last Friday. Korea's benchmark KOSPI has broken another record, passing the 8,400 mark for the first time. After a strong opening this morning, the index quickly soared nearly 5% to trade around 8,447 just minutes into the session. The rally triggered a buy-side sidecar shortly after the opening bell, halting program buying for 5 minutes as KOSPI 200 futures jumped more than 5% from the previous close. The surge is largely being driven by Korean memory chip giants like Samsung Electronics and SK hynix. Investor sentiment was heavily boosted by a massive overnight rally from U.S. chipmaker Micron Technology, which fueled expectations of a broader rebound in the global semiconductor sector. Following the surge, SK hynix has become the second company to pass $1 trillion in market cap after Samsung Electronics. North Korea says it has tested a new range of tactical weapon systems, including ballistic and cruise missiles equipped with advanced precision and AI-guided technologies. South Korea condemned the launch and renewed calls for Pyongyang to engage in efforts to ease military tensions and pursue denuclearization talks. Our Lee Seung-jae has more.
North Korea says it conducted a major weapons test on Tuesday involving tactical ballistic missiles, guided rocket systems, and tactical cruise missiles, with leader Kim Jong-un overseeing the launches. State media said Wednesday that the test evaluated the power of a special warhead for tactical ballistic missiles, the reliability of a new precision navigation system for guided artillery rockets, and the AI-based targeting accuracy of a tactical cruise missile. North Korea claimed the new cruise missile can strike targets up to 100 kilometers away using terrain-following navigation and artificial intelligence guidance. The missiles are expected to be deployed near the inter-Korean border, potentially placing much of the Seoul metropolitan area within range if the claims are accurate. Kim Jong-un reportedly described the test as a major step in modernizing North Korea's military and called for the continued development of what he described as the world's most powerful artillery force. South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff said it detected multiple projectiles launched Tuesday from the North Korean city of Jeonju toward the West Sea, including short-range ballistic missiles and artillery rockets. Military analysts say the simultaneous launch of ballistic missiles and rocket artillery may have been intended to demonstrate North Korea's ability to evade missile defense systems through mixed fire tactics. In response, South Korea on Tuesday urged Pyongyang to cooperate with efforts aimed at promoting peace and easing tensions on the Korean peninsula. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Park Il said Seoul is once again calling on North Korea to respond positively to the government's peace initiatives and reaffirmed South Korea's commitment to the complete denuclearization of the Korean peninsula. Some observers believe the latest launch may also have been intended as a response to South Korea's recently announced plan to pursue a nuclear-powered submarine program. 이승재, Arirang News.
And Korea has unveiled a much-anticipated plan to develop its own nuclear-powered submarines as President Lee Jae-myung held the first meeting of the Future Defense Strategy Committee on Tuesday. Our Oh Soo-young has the details.
Korea has set out its first ever plan to develop conventionally armed nuclear-powered submarines, pledging close communication with the United States and strict compliance to non-proliferation rules. The Defense Ministry unveiled a roadmap Tuesday, naming it the Changbogo N project, a nod to Korea's first naval submarine, the ROKS Changbogo, with the N standing for Next Generation, Nuclear-Powered and New Advanced Technologies. This comes as North Korea continues to grow submarine-launched nuclear missile threats. Seoul's goal is to launch the first vessel in the mid-2030s, with deployment expected after the late 2030s. The submarine would use low-enriched uranium reactors designed for long-cycle operation to minimize fuel replacement. Development will be local, with Seoul seeking independent maintenance and sustainment capabilities. The program will manage the submarine's full life cycle, from design and construction to operation, fuel management and decommissioning. The ministry also laid out 3 non-proliferation commitments, stating Korea will neither possess nor develop nuclear weapons in any form. Seoul also pledged to coordinate closely with Washington on securing and managing low-enriched uranium while fulfilling its non-proliferation obligations. Korea will in fact establish a safeguard system with the International Atomic Energy Agency, especially for nuclear-powered submarines. The announcement follows moves by Seoul and Washington to implement security commitments agreed by Presidents Lee Jae-myung and Donald Trump and outlined in a joint fact sheet last year, including U.S. cooperation on Korea's nuclear-powered submarines initiative and Seoul's push for civil uranium enrichment and spent fuel reprocessing rights.
The United States should view South Korea's request not primarily as a proliferation risk, but as an alliance adaptation issue. For the United States, supporting South Korea's nuclear-powered submarine ambition would strengthen allied undersea capacity at a time when China's neighbor expansion and North Korea's nuclear threat are both intensifying. A South Korean SSN capability could contribute to deterrence, sea lane security, anti-submarine warfare, and broader Indo-Pacific maritime stability.
In Washington, D.C. last week, First Vice Foreign Minister Park Yun-jo met with his counterpart, U.S. Undersecretary of State for Political Affairs Alison Hooker, who will lead an interagency delegation to launch bilateral working groups in Seoul in the coming weeks. On Tuesday, President Lee said nuclear-powered submarines built on the foundation of a firm alliance with the U.S. symbolize Korea's determination to take responsibility for peace and security on the Korean Peninsula. Oh Soo-young, Arirang News.
Iran has condemned recent U.S. strikes as ceasefire violations and warned it would defend itself, but diplomatic efforts to end the conflict appear to remain on the table. Our Cho Young-eun files this report.
Diplomatic efforts between Washington and Tehran appear to remain on the table, despite the U.S. military conducting what it described as self-defense strikes. The U.S. said it targeted Iranian missile sites and mine-laying boats on Monday. After those strikes, Iran's foreign ministry accused the United States of repeatedly violating a ceasefire and carrying out attacks on Iranian commercial vessels. The ministry claimed Washington had continued what it called aggressive and unjustified actions, and that without a doubt, the Islamic Republic of Iran will not leave any evil unanswered and will not hesitate to defend the Iranian nation, leaving it unclear whether the strikes will derail efforts to end the conflict. However, the talks did not appear to collapse as the leaders of Iran and Qatar held a phone call, during which the Iranian president expressed gratitude for mediating negotiations with the U.S. and supporting efforts to reach a memorandum of understanding between the two sides. According to the statement, Iran emphasized its readiness to move toward what it described as a dignified framework to end the conflict and ease ongoing regional tensions. Qatar, which played a mediating role in the talks, reaffirmed its commitment to regional security and stability, pledging continued efforts to help bring an end to the current conflict in the region. Cho Young-eun, Arirang News.
With around a week remaining until Korea's local elections, the race for Busan mayor is drawing growing national attention as candidates offer competing visions for the country's second largest city. Our Muniran was there.
Busan is shaping up to be one of the defining battlegrounds of Korea's June 3rd local elections, with both major party candidates making their case to voters as the race heats up. On Tuesday, Democratic Party candidate Chun Jae-soo, who served as the inaugural Minister of Oceans and Fisheries under President Lee Jae-myung, attended an international cooperation signing ceremony at Busan National University's Hydrogen Ship Technology Center, an event that speaks directly to his campaign pledge of making Busan a global maritime capital.
This project will not only make Busan the center of international standards for liquid hydrogen, it will generate around 3 trillion won in production value, 1.8 trillion won in added value, and create over 11,000 jobs.
People Power Party candidate and incumbent Mayor Park Hyung-jun, meanwhile, spent his afternoon meeting older adults at a community welfare center, where he laid out his welfare vision, pledging to expand AI and digital technology across the city's welfare centers and senior community spaces.
Busan has a large aging population, which makes welfare policy critically important. That's why we're upgrading our welfare centers with the latest digital technology and AI to better care for our older adults.
The two candidates are painting very different pictures of Busan's future. Chun looking forward, pitching the city as a global maritime and technological hub, while Park is focusing closer to home, addressing the everyday concerns of an aging city through welfare and community.
With 8 days left until polling day, both candidates are going all out to win over voters in what has tightened into one of the most competitive mayoral races of this election cycle. Moon Hae-ryun, Arirang News, Busan.
And in Busan is also taking place the parliamentary by-elections, where a three-way competition is intensifying as political battle deepen among the candidates. Our correspondent An Sang-ji reports this from the ground.
Alongside the upcoming local elections, the June 3rd vote also features high-stakes parliamentary by-elections, with 14 National Assembly seats up for grabs. One of the most fierce battlegrounds in parliamentary by-elections is here in Busan buk-gap district, a tight race between three candidates. The ruling Democratic Party has fielded Ha Jong-woo, a former senior secretary to the president on AI. Ha is anchoring his campaign on transforming the district into the nation's premier AI education and economic hub, with Busan's first AI specialized high school and an AI tech valley to boost local education, childcare, and the economy simultaneously. Meanwhile, the main opposition People Power Party has looked to former Veterans Minister Bang Min-sik. Park is vowing to tackle long-standing local bottlenecks in transportation and urban renewal through an infrastructure overhaul, presenting a nearly 9-kilometer stretch of the Gyeongbu railway line that currently cuts right through the district.
I don't let myself get swayed by fluctuating poll numbers. Instead, I place my trust entirely in the true sentiment and the heart of the residents here in the district.
Adding to the heavy-hitting lineup is former PPP floor leader Han Dong-hoon, who is running with a bold regional development blueprint. Han's platform centers on building a K-complex arena and transforming the Nakdong River area into a vibrant Nakdong Golden Belt that blends live entertainment, tourism, and local commerce.
I look to bring the kind of development this district missed out on for far too long. Whether I'm running as an independent or with a party, voters recognize that I can truly deliver their promises.
As the race enters its final stretch, with three heavyweight candidates offering vastly different visions for the region's future, it is now up to the voters to decide which blueprint will shape the future of their city. An Song-jin, Arirang News, Busan.
A delegation from the Dominican Republic has traveled across the globe to Korea to learn how technology is being used to protect nature. The visit is part of a development assistance program designed to share expertise and strengthen ties. Our Kim Jun-ho reports.
A high-level delegation from the Dominican Republic's Environment Ministry has come to Korea. The group is here to learn about the country's national park management system and ICT-based climate response technologies through a training program beginning Tuesday at the Korea National Park Service.
Managing protected areas amid climate change is becoming a common challenge worldwide. Korea has responded by integrating ICT, and we hope to share that experience through this training.
The training, which runs for approximately 10 days, is part of an official development assistance program led by the Korea International Cooperation Agency. It seeks to strengthen the Dominican Republic's national park management capacity by sharing Korea's expertise and experience while deepening bilateral cooperation.
We started by asking how Korea's ICT strengths could be applied to partner countries. The goal is to help partner governments in developing countries better manage national parks while supporting sustainable development.
Environmental management is especially important for the Dominican Republic, where protected areas account for nearly 60% of the country's land.
Resource and environmental management are key to a sustainable economy in our country. Korea has been a close partner, and we hope to learn from its technology and apply it at home.
What drew the attention of the delegation most was the AI-based monitoring system. At this control tower, real-time data from national parks nationwide is monitored through intelligent CCTV and AI technology. This wildfire detection system uses AI to identify smoke and spot fire risks early. Last April, near a national park in Gangwon-do province, the system detected signs of a wildfire and issued an alert before fire authorities identified the threat. Satellite imagery and trail cameras are also used to access damage, monitor weather, and help locate missing hikers.
Both countries face a common challenge, protecting large, climate-vulnerable areas with limited manpower and resources. ICT technology makes management more efficient, allowing even a small workforce to manage wide areas more effectively.
Climate change and protecting nature are challenges shared across borders. Korea's data-driven method for managing nature is positioning itself as a new model for global development cooperation. Kim Jun-ho, Arirang News, Wonju.
This is The World Now, bringing you everything you need to know from around the globe. In Belgium, a train struck a school minibus at a level crossing on Tuesday, killing 4 people, including 2 special needs pupils. The driver and a chaperone for the students also died. 5 other children were seriously injured. The crash in the town of Bugenhout happened despite the crossing barriers being down. It is not yet clear how the minibus entered the path of the train. The train was traveling at an estimated 120 kilometers per hour. None of the passengers aboard the train were hurt. An investigation has been opened, and authorities said an autopsy on the bus driver will be carried out. U.S. memory chip maker Micron Technology joined the $1 trillion market cap club on Tuesday after shares jumped 19% to close at a record high. The surge came as brokerage UBS more than tripled its price target on the stock to $1,625. Micron is one of only 3 companies globally that can make high-bandwidth memory chips at scale, alongside South Korea's Samsung and SK Hynix. Its entire 2026 supply of those chips is already sold out, suggesting demand is outpacing capacity. Micron is now the 11th largest U.S. public company after its stock hit 28 record highs in 2026, while shares have risen more than 8-fold in the past 12 months. NASA on Tuesday unveiled the next steps in its plan to build a permanent base on the moon's south pole by 2032, awarding contracts to Blue Origin, Intuitive Machines, and Astrobotic to build robotic landers, hopping drones, and surface vehicles. The agency wants to send 25 robotic launches to the moon by 2029 before humans arrive. A nuclear and solar-powered base would allow the U.S. to conduct scientific experiments, mine resources, and support future missions to Mars. However, experts warn NASA's timeline is unrealistic, as SpaceX's Starship, the key spacecraft needed to land humans on the moon, has faced repeated setbacks. Nearly 90 drones crashed into Sydney Harbour on Monday evening after a technical malfunction during a drone show. The drones plunged into the water near crowds of spectators at the annual Vivid Sydney Festival. The UK company behind the show blamed an unforeseen change in the radio frequency after takeoff that triggered the drone's emergency landing procedures. No injuries were reported. Organizers have cancelled several upcoming shows pending a full safety assessment. Chu Ji-hyun, Arirang News.
Gray skies continue across much of the country today, with light rain coming and going through the afternoon hours. Most parts could see 5 to 10 millimeters of rainfall through the afternoon. Clouds acted like a blanket overnight, keeping temperatures warm this morning. Afternoon highs in most regions will be 1 to 7 degrees lower than yesterday, and tomorrow will stay mostly cloudy with another brief round of rain with around 5 millimeters expected. For a closer look at today's highs, Seoul and Chuncheon will be getting up to 24 degrees Celsius. Busan will only make it to 22 degrees. Air quality will be good nationwide all day today. After this short break from the heat, temperatures are expected to rise quickly again later this week. By Sunday, Seoul could once again reach around 30 degrees under warmer early summer conditions.
That's all we have for today's noon edition of Arirang News. Thank you for watching. We'll be back at 5 p.m. Korea time. Stay tuned.